Hello and welcome everybody to GPVWC's coverage of the German Grand Prix here for the Super League Championship. Thanks for joining us. My name's Simon Smith. I will be your commentator extraordinaire. Lols, not really, here today. And, as ever, I'm never alone, as a man should never be. He has a friend. It is not a pooch, it is Simon Malush doing cameraman extraordinaire. He is an extraordinaire, I just mumble. And he'll be providing you all pixelated action on your screens. I'm flying solo this evening, and by that I have done up my zip, although I do have a rather juicy laminated picture of Tom van der Voort's face sitting next to me, so should I get bored, I may ask him questions throughout the day. And we can imagine what type of answers he may give to these questions as we go. A bit like Match.com, only like telephony style and only one way. Depends how drunk I get. So, a couple of driver changes going on for this race, just to get you up to scratch with everything that's got on. Bart de Vos, who disappeared from Hawkeye a couple of races ago, has reappeared in a Green Stripes racing car. Ping! So that's of worthy note. Alberto Alvarez is back in the Phoenix F1, still in place of Miles Dixon, who was really struggling with the car for this race, so that's why Alberto is still in there. Mikko Swokas is still in the Nord Zone, back in there as they play musical chairs. And the last one is Oscar Hardwick back in the Hawkeye as well. Sorry, Miles was ST. Harley Hammett's replaced that. I can't remember who was in the Phoenix. It would be Kieran Ryan, wouldn't it? So that's why he's not about either. So those are your driver changes, and it was a interesting qualification session. Top 7 or 8 covered by just a couple of tenths of a second, so we'll run through the grid once it's been finalised. There are a couple of disconnections towards the end, so we've just got to wait for that to be sorted. Although it did look like a Torrent Motorsport 1-2 by the end of it, which is a first for a very long time for that team, so they'll be delighted. Cameraman Mr. Milliwish doing a little mini dance in the background, I'm quite sure. So, 4 minutes to go until the race gets underway. Time to take a look at the championship standings, because it's getting suspiciously close to the end of the broadcast. Not already. We've not even said the green flag yet. The championship, Simon. Spank, spank, spank. What we have got is Lucas Euler leading with 257 points, 21 clear of Ruud Heesterbeek. Those are the two that are in the championship hunt. Dave Carr-Smith, despite having not driven a race for a very long time, still sits in third, ahead of Peter Kaza and Alex Cooper. Jim Paresis is in sixth with a resurgence of form. Tom van der Voort is in 7, just about to cross the 100-point mark, hopefully this race for him, with Lewis Redshaw ever creeping up in 8th position, and the Hawkeyes looked impressive so far this evening. What we do have in 9th position, though, is Jason Muscat, which isn't a person I automatically popped up in 9, with teammate David Junt in 10. So that's quite important for the Red Archers to be plugging away on the points there. 11th is Lee Morris, with his collection of different teams and points and races that he's popped in and out of throughout the season. He'll be looking to climb up from there. Bart de Vos in 12, returning, and then Adam Rouse, Steve Verloy, Jordan Weeks completes your top 15 there. Amazingly, 41 drivers have scored in this Super League Championship, which is more than what you'd have thought of, right the way down to Mikko Swokas and Paul Joseph on a point apiece. The Constructors, though, is very much a two-horse race too, with Midnight Motorsport up on top with 407. 366 gives Nijo Racing its point tally, 41 behind, very much doable with 4 races to go after this evening in the championship. Torrent is in third with 284, technically doable, but 82 behind Nijo, that is 123 off of Midnight. Potentially doable, I think, possibly, but not really once you've taken out the mathematicals and actually put a little bit of everyday logic into it. So it really is a two-horse race in both championships. After today, we do, however, pop down to several other notable venues. Just to quickly run down on the rest of the constructors. Behind Torrent is Nordzone in 4, Hawkeye 5, ahead of Red Archer in 6, just 9 points between them, although Hawkeye have leapfrogged and overtaken. Kerno's in 7, ahead of Woods, Green Stripes, Phoenix, Halcyon, who have already left the championship, in disarray. Then you've got Constant and ST now in double figures with 12 points, and Harley Hamnet done a fantastic qualification for them today, looking at potentially starting well in the top 10 for the first time for an ST this season. So we shall look forward to that with a vengeance. After today though, the 4 races that are remaining, we have Indy coming up on the 12th of September, then Abu Dhabi, or Abu Dhabi, if you're a certain BBC commentator. Then we were at Suzuka, and then the final race is in Interlagos, Brazil. So some well-known, well-loved circuits in amongst there. Not sure if anyone really loves Abu Dhabi or the Asmarina circuit. What is up with that pit lane exit? Who knows? Who knows? I fear someone was having a wee bit of too much rosé water whilst they were designing that circuit. I think it was red for wine, not for water. Obviously, as well, the other big news going on just before we break into the race itself is we have ITC starting soon, or being mooted and announced. GRC, which is a other league that myself and Simon Malosh do the broadcasts for, is closing down. There's going to be a final race for that, I believe, on the 9th of September. Just like as a big goodbye race, and then we're going to provide a little safe haven and shelter for everyone that does like their tin tops. That'll be going on Monday evenings. Get yourself over to the GPVWC forums and get yourselves in on the action and signed up for that once the sign-ups go live. And yeah, it's going to be a great place for the race. I'll be shouting my way all the way through that as well. And lastly, I'd just like to say thanks to everyone who's known vaguely about some various difficulties I've been going through, and I'd like to dedicate probably a slightly drunken broadcast by the end of this to my auntie, who I attended her funeral today. Auntie Phil, I'm sure you're being a saucy little moose up there with your hubby.
Attention grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
So, essential personnel, clear the hell off the grid. We're racing. 60 laps around this Nurburgring circuit. I had a horrid time at the Formula Challenge event earlier on in the week. I was mauled down at turn 1 on one of the races, and then mauled down at turn 3 on the other one, I think. So yeah, not grand. But then I was driving specifically challenged myself. Really struggled with the undulations and the bumps, and the car not feeling particularly safe under braking. And it seems to be something that's transferred over to the Superleague Championship. So I'm going to take you through the grid as they go around on the Formation lap. And it's Jim Paresis again. This resurgence of form really coming to the fore here for Torrent Motorsports. He leads the 1-2 with teammate Peter Kasa in second position. Hawkeye's Lewis Redshaw in a career best third, I think, so far. And he had a problem in pit lane with qualification. He slightly sped over the pit lane exit and got his pit lane speed limiter stuck, so he couldn't do a final run. Fourth is Lucas Euler in a top Midnight Motorsport. Not often we say that down in fourth position. Lee Morris is in fifth for Kernel. So 4 different constructors in the top 5 places. And Alex Cooper in 6th position in the Midnight, back in the car after a couple of races without him. Rude Heasterbeek in 7th for Nijo. Harley Hamnet a stunning 8th position in the ST car, really showing great form there, Harley. Tom Vandervoort in 9th place for Nijo, very pessimistic on his way into the race, but actually not bad, solidly in the top 10. And David Junt for Red Archer as well. A little last minute gasp there popped him into 10th position, and he's looking quite feisty in the leading red daggered car. Then Bart de Vos in his newly found Green Stripes racing car in 11th position, ahead of Oscar Hardwick, who took a 5-place grid drop in 12th and had connection issues during quali. Jason Muscat, 13th position, didn't have tons of laps himself because he got disconnected during quali. Mikko Sokas in the Nord zone, and the Seoul Nord zone as well in 14th position. Oh no, he's not the Seoul one, there is one kicking around at the back. Adam Rouse in 15th, top Woods racing though, Woods not having a great day. Kenny Liebeer, second race for him in the Kernow in 16th. He's looking at gaining more confidence because he's much closer to the field now than what he was last time out. Timu Toika binned it in quali and kind of made a mess of it. He said words that we cannot repeat on air. 18th is Mark Fuller in the second ST, significantly behind his teammate Vinod Moodley in 19th in the second Green Stripes Racing. Same for him, and he did hold up slightly, I think, Lee Morris on his final run. Kieran Ryan in 20th is in now on the Phoenix, so he was in there, sorry. Mark Stanton in 21st position, Alberto Alvarez in 22nd. Jordan Weeks is just joining onto the grid in 23rd. He disconnected in quali and couldn't get back in, so did not set a time. Here we go then. Someone's not quite in grid slot. Are they going to be going anytime soon? The German Grand Prix about to get underway here for GPVWC Super League. Here we go. They're now in place. It was someone towards the back there on the corner. Here come the lights. Which TMO will get it, or will someone else come from the second and third rows to pounce down into the tight hairpin? We're off and away. Paris, a beautiful start, as has Casa, and they've got well off, and there's a Midnight spinning off there. That's Cooper in trouble before we've even got to turn one. Problems there. Casa and Paris side by side. Casa's gone later on the brakes. He's gone to the inside. Paris has the inside for turn two. He keeps it, and Paris retakes it. Redshaw and Euler side by side, and Euler's going to hang Redshaw out to die. He's going to have to go round the outside and be brave. Can he do it? Yes, he can. Then look at the Nijos. Tom Vandervoort was a perfect start from 9th to 5th, and Redshaw's largely lost it out of the exit. Hangs on just about in 3rd. It's all packing up now behind. So Redshaw, Vandervoort goes around the outside of Euler. Can he keep the inside for the next turn? Yes, he can. Euler's got much better traction. They're going to go side by side down to the hairpin. Behind that, Heasterbeek's just displaced Morris for 6th and 7th. He was ahead of them beforehand. So real problems there. The Nijos mighty off the line, and he's tapped. Poor old Euler, and I think Heasterbeek's going to go through then. Another one of his little love nudges. And Euler goes down to 6th, Morris 7, and Hamnet, Swokus and Rouse up to 10th positions. It's Mark Stanton in the Constant who's in trouble at the back. He's had a drama. Alex Cooper has got back going again after his bizarre spin off the line. But he is right at the back in 20th position. So, Paresis it is then that leads the way from Casa as they come up to the chicane. Then it's Redshaw, Vandervoort, Heasterbeek versus Euler. Heasterbeek keeps the position just for the time being, but they were side by side. Then Euler, Morris, Hamnet, Swokus, Red, Rouse, Muscat and side by side as well. Then DeVos and Junt side by side too. Leiby has just overtaken someone, and David Junt has just disconnected going into the final corner. That was a disconnection issue, bizarre there for David Junt, and a real shame. He was on for a top 10 potentially. Morris for 6th position, dives past Lucas Euler. What is going on with Midnight? None of them in the top 6 there as he drops down. Morris through to 6, Euler down to 7. Another change of position was going on there. That's Rouse and Muscat for 10 and 11 side by side. And Rouse trying to keep the inside line on Muscat as they exit that slightly awkward chicane. Muscat's going to have it though and will take the position from Rouse. He's the inside to the next corner. Beautifully does it. DeVos puts his nose in, but there's nowhere for him to go. Then Kieran Ryan's gone up to 13th position from 20th on the grid in the Phoenix as well. So beautiful stuff there. Alvarez has been in trouble too. Mark Stanton into the pits for Constant. Alex Cooper now up to 18th position, and he's just diving past Timu Toika to take 17th. So he's on his way back up the field. More trouble going on, I think, further up the field though, and that is because Paresis, Casa and Redshaw are having their own little mini scrap up top. Vandervoort and Heasterbeek lead the next little gaggle from Morris and Euler. Hamnet, Swokus lead the rest of the way. Then everyone's already pairing off into little groups. Vinod, Moodley and Cooper, they're nearly collecting each other. So we'll keep an eye on that. Moodley always a slightly scary coil on occasion. And is that Oscar Hardwick? Yes, it is. Oscar Hardwick takes 13th position in the Hawkeye from Kenny Leibeer. That keeps him there. Cooper gets past Moodley as well. So he's defending quite nicely. And Toika and Fuller having a good go over 18th and 19th as they complete lap 2 of 60. Can start lap 3. How is everyone doing? Oh, it's Rouse in 11th and Bart DeVos in 12th, side by side out of 1 and 2. Rouse for the inside, trying to defend from Bart, who went lunging in. Different sets of tyres there. Rouse on the harder compound than DeVos, who's on the softer. So Rouse punching above his weight if you think of tyre value. It'll be valuable to keep DeVos behind as long as possible, but obviously if you're doing a longer stint you don't want to burn those tyres too quickly, because you will find yourself in a wee spot of bother later on. Mark Stanton has rejoined, by the way, down in last position as the TMO 1-2 Brigade continues on their way. It's been a while since we've seen that in GPVWC, certainly not massively this year. They've started with a car that was well underdeveloped and were punching above their weight. And what this has done, they're dragging Roadshaw with them. Tom Vandervoort is like a bottle cork, 3.9 seconds already off the lead, and he's starting to become a little mini blockade for the rest of the field going through. He's to be not wanting to maul his teammate and have a go, because that will be drama, but he's got to watch because Morris is a wily one behind. Then you've got Euler. Hamnet in 8th position had a dodgy exit out from the Schumacher S, but he's still in 8th ahead of Swokus and Muscat. They come through again, and that's Redshaw taking a slightly different line to turn 1, not really having a proper go though at Casa ahead of him. And Alex Cooper has displaced Kieran Ryan for 15th and 16th position earlier on in the lap as well. And who's that off? That, it's Vinod Moodley, who's gone wide down at turn 1 and has lost 2 positions to Jordan Weeks and Mark Fuller. And Lybeer and Cooper, 14th and 15th side by side. Cooper round the outside. Beautiful move there out from that awkward chicane. Different tyres again. Cooper on the softer compared to Lybeer on the hard. But that's another place done, and that looks like DeVos and Hardwick going at it for 13th and 12th side by side. DeVos got the inside for the hairpin. They're going to make contact. Indeed they do. Bits of wheel bashing going on there. That never happens for open wheelers, and Bart DeVos actually gives the place to Hardwick there. Gentlemanly driving, and actually a little bit of egg on face because Bart DeVos left the Hawkeye team and has reappeared at green stripes, and that's his replacement driver going free, yoinking that position. So that's probably the one driver he does not want to end up behind, and probably the last driver he'll want to smack into as well, because all that will do is send ripples down the fun world of sim racing as people go, oh dear. Back up to the battle for 5th position. Ruud Heesterbeek, Lucas Euler, Lee Morris, not in that order. They were just the words that spilled off my tongue. And Euler looks like he's preparing to have a lunge at Morris down into turn 1. Thinks better of it. Morris very mighty on the brakes there. But the way how this Vandervoort, Heesterbeek, Morris and Euler battle's going on, 5.2 behind now on lap 5. This is effectively pushing the lead trio out into a little mini scrap of their own. And the Nijos are setting up like a B class. Or an A- class, because they're still doing a mighty good job. Don't discount Hamnet and Swokus because they're still there, as is Muscat to some extent. And then Rouse, Hardwick, DeVos and co run behind. And as Karaman Meluish says to me, who has a vast valley of technical know-how, he says at this rate they're going to have a whole pit stop advantage if it continues losing it at a second a lap, and that's all about how long Tom Vandervoort can keep a bottle cap on this gaggle of cars. And so far, Paresis, Casa and Redshaw have had the nous not to battle each other. It's like they're working together, and that's quite clever, whether they mean to do it or not, but they're not taking time out from each other. They understand that actually working, slipstreaming together will actually reap the rewards better off as they pop a lap on Mark Stanton. And that was someone running wide there. It is Bart DeVos, and Alex Cooper goes up into 13th position out of the final turn. DeVos fancies a go back through. Cooper's having to go defensive for 13th and 14th positions. DeVos blasts past, but will Cooper brake later down into the hairpin? Yes he does. Oh, contact, a little wee bit scruffy there, and DeVos gets punted out the way. Rouse and Hardwick battling for 11th and 12th position. Rouse runs Hardwick off onto the curb. It's very difficult to go side by side around his first sector, and Rouse gets a tank slapper on. Hardwick dives through. He's on different tyres to Rouse. Rouse punching above his weight on that compound. Cooper now fancying a go through too. So it's all changed down at the lower end of the points haul. Still the same for everyone else up front, or is it? No, Tom Vandervoort's down to 6th position. What's happened there for the Nijo? That's out from turn 4. That's gone wrong for Tom Vandervoort because Lee Morris dives through into the turn 5-6 chicane. So Tom Vandervoort, that could very well change the course of this race, because that's 2 people popped out of this champagne cork of speed, and that's going to allow Easterbeek and Redshaw's through. Redshaw's going around Casa for second and third, but he's gone over the chicane. He'll have to give that place back. It's all kicking off here at the German Grand Prix. Casa goes round the outside. Redshaw dutifully gives the position back. Cooper and Rouse side by side for 11 and 12 into that chicane too. Rouse holds the position for now, but that will change very soon. Redshaw has another go at Casa for second down into turn one. Ooh, no. Backs out of it. You've got to remember this whole... You give the position back on one corner, you can't dive straight through on the next. That was a problem with Spa, wasn't it, in 2008 or 9, whichever year it was, where Hamilton done that on Raikkonen and was dutifully penalised for it afterwards. Cooper missing out on Rouse, by the way, although they're side by side. Rounds turn 2 and 3 now, and Cooper is through up into 12th position. Rouse trying to fight it, but actually it's not really a battle that you should be going for, specifically at this early on stage. So what I'm going to do now is these guys for 4, 5, 6, 7 get past Stanton, who's having to crawl round just to let everyone through, very gentlemanly like, hoping there's some more disconnections and crashes so we can pick up the pieces in 22nd. I'm going to be so interested to see what the lap times are now between Easterbeek and Morris is hustling Easterbeek quite rapidly. He's pushing the Nijo car along. Vandervoort still holding off Euler for the time being, but he's now got the concentration of just one car to focus on, not 3. So we'll see if that changes the game. Can they start pegging this 1 second drop off? Because they're 8.2 off currently from Jim Paresis, who's 1.2 clear of his teammate. All about the time game. And what we'll do, not this lap by, because it was all a bit messy last time round, we'll go next lap and see what happens with the times as Tom Vandervoort is having to defend heavily from Euler. What's he going to do? It's such an awkward braking phase into turn 1 because you're downshifting and turning to the right, and you've got camber issues too. Vandervoort holds on to it for now. That will do nicely. More changes going on. That's Adam Rouse finally dropping behind Cooper properly now for 12th and 13th. Leibeer's to 14. It's Bart de Vos actually. It's dropped down to 15th behind Kenny Leibeer in a Kerr now, so that's interesting. As the field starts to get itself into a pattern and spread out, Jordan Weeks has climbed up to 17th position, just to keep you updated on his progress. And he's about to have Kieran Ryan for Phoenix, who's had a terrible exit out from turn 4, but Weeks nowhere to go. It's always those opening couple of laps where you've just got to sit and think, where do I end up in this pile of mush? See how you get on. Paresis pulls out another 10th on Casa. This lap so far, 1.3 the gap now. Redshaw 2 seconds behind. Has he pushed too hard on his tyres? They're coming up to lap Alberto Alvarez, who's really in a race of his own at the back at the moment in that Phoenix, struggling to get on terms with the rest of the field, and it'll be interesting to see how Mark Stanton can catch up and have a little battle over wooden spoon positions for that. But Paresis, Casa and Redshaw are through. Alvarez does very well with the background backmarker action. Morris having a look at Easterbeek. Easterbeek feels the need to go defensive and he's broke very early. He needs to keep that apex crossed over and he does so beautifully there. Pulls back for 2. Morris kept at bay for the time being, but this is going to be one. Oh, Morris steams down. Beautiful stabberoo right in for turn 3. Oh! That was 4-wheel drifting from Morris, and that was exciting stuff. Behind, Euler has got Vandervoort at exactly the same point as well, although they're still squabbling. So that was not a good corner for Nijo down at turn 3. I wonder if actually Euler was looking at Morris having a go ahead and thought, I'll fancy a bit of that, as Alvarez on the gravel as they pop round to lap the Phoenix F1 driver. So Morris now free, 10.5 seconds the gap is. That's cost another 2 seconds that lap. But the move is done, and now we'll see whether or not Morris in clear air has got the pace to be able to catch up. He's on the same tyres as the leading trio, who are now at their furthest apart than what they have been all race so far. That's a change of position. Oscar Hardwick's just taken Miko Swokas for 10th and 11th position. Swokas lost out to Red Archer's Jason Muscat as well as they lap Alvarez. So plenty of action still to be had. And I'll keep a lap on the times again. 11 seconds is the gap for Morris now, so he didn't pull out in that last sector. Keep a beady eye on that. So it's still Paresis from Kasser and Redshaw, TMO Hawkeye, then it's Morris for Kernow, he's to beat for Nijo. Euler now ahead of Tom Vandervoort, 6-7, but Vandervoort still in 7. Harley Hamnet, unsung hero, beautifully in 8th position, 15 seconds off the lead. Who would have thought we'd see an ST there as Rouse and De Vos go side by side for 14th and 15th, and that's going to be contact! No, slight contact, Rouse lets him go. Behind Harley Hamnet, he's got 3 seconds over Jason Muscat, who's got Oscar Hardwick. Alex Cooper's got round Miko Swokas in the Nord Zone, so Nord Zone down to 12th now. Unusual to see them just not really troubling the top 10 at the moment. Kenny Lybeer nearly spins trying to lap Alvarez. He just got caught out there, but he's still ahead of Bart de Vos and Adam Rouse. Rouse on those different tyre compounds, that's going to pay him dividends later on. Jordan Weeks now in 16th, ahead of Kieran Ryan, who's taking an interesting line into the hairpin. Toika's with him, as is Mark Fuller's a further 16 seconds back. Moodley's in the pits, that's an early stop there, and he's just rejoining, very slowly actually, in the green stripes. That's the first scheduled pit stop. Then Alvarez and Stanton are both 1 lap down, and I think what will happen with Alberto Alvarez, he's so busy letting everyone through, it's not going to be long before Toika and Kieran Ryan come to lap him. And I think he'll just let Stanton go through as well, because Stanton's keeping up with that too, watching the little mini battle and being delightfully entertained. Pass him the popcorn, he's quite happy. And I've done it before, you start letting through people and you go, oh god, we was actually in a battle for that. In fact, we may watch it in a couple of seconds time. As the field come through, Rouse and De Vos and Lybeer, 13, 14, 15. Oh, Bart De Vos has a stab at Lybeer, that's not going to work out very well at all, as Oscar Hardwick runs out wide in 10th position in the battle between him and Cooper. Cooper trying to go around the outside into turn 5. No, Hardwick keeps that line. So difficult, that chicane. You want to take all of the road, but if you put one slight touch on that grass, that will spin you around like some kind of anti-reaction auto-vom. My bit of Voss and Rouse doing the same. In fact, Rouse has just nearly gone off, trying to break through. Cooper still on Hardwick. Both trying to get back up the order after disappointing starts. Very interested to hear from Alex Cooper exactly what happened on that start. I just saw him spinning off. If that was no launch, well, not launch control, but if that was a gear selection problem, I wonder if that will ever be protested. Or a crazy start. Redshaw now 4.6 off Paresis, by the way. Lybeer, De Vos and Rouse continue their little scrap. What's Cooper going to do on Hardwick? Not a lot, I don't think. Down to 1, he's too far back to make anything of it. Lap 12 of 60. Bart De Vos and Lybeer, though, side by side for 13 and 14. De Vos going around the outside into turn 1. Can he make that one stick? That'll be impressive if he can. Lybeer gives him plenty of room. He's on those harder tyres, as is Rouse. De Vos slightly outplaced there in the green stripes. Now in a real sandwich. That didn't work for him. And now we've got Muscat caught by Hardwick and Cooper. They're pushing on up. 9, 10, 11. Muscat looking the one who's at least helpful of himself. Hardwick has a little look. That's going to be problematical. Oh, that was never going to work. That was just too much of an opportunistic dive, and that's going to allow Cooper to push his way through. There was a little love nudge, and I thought Hardwick kind of went, all right, mate, all right, go on. Through he goes. Cooper delightfully takes 10th position for him. Hardwick down to 11 in the Hawkeye. He will have to use his skills to get back in front for that one, I'm afraid. Now Cooper straight onto the back of Red Archer's Jason Muscat, who leads that companion. De Vos has just passed Lybeer at the same corner. So all change going on between these little groups of trio. No changes going on at the top still, very static there. And Lee Morris, interestingly, 12.4 now off of Paresis, so he's not gaining as Cooper goes onto the back of Muscat. What's Muscat doing? He's not defending. He's going to go right and round the outside. Gives Cooper plenty of room. He knows he'll have the inside for turn 2 and 3 if he can hold it, but Cooper's going to cling on around the outside. Oh! The tiniest of leans. Cooper beautifully goes through there and takes 9th position. That will do yummily for him. Muscat now down to 10 in the Red Archer, still doing a fine job. Oscar Hardwick will be the next one to want to try and pick that one off. Euler's caught onto the back of Heasterbeek for 5 and 6 as well, so we'll keep a little beady eye on that one. Redshaw 5.7 off of the TMO duo, and for the first time this race, Lee Morris actually closes a couple of temps on Paresis, so maybe the tides are turning for that. Heasterbeek and Euler, nose to tail, 5 and 6. Euler using all the track and a smidgy bit more there. Very easy to do at that chicane. I love the fact they've got these anti-cut bumps in. So challenging because it stops you taking the absolute mick. I do applaud the admin for doing that. Confines of the circuit, people. Confines of the circuit. Euler takes a different line. Heasterbeek massively tight into the final corner. That was tighter than a virgin, that was. Heasterbeek then having to go so tight against the pit lane wall, that's going to put him in a terrible line for turn 1. Euler goes around the outside. Heasterbeek's going to have to run him right the way out, but here Euler, beautifully done there. Heasterbeek so mal-positioned that Euler could just go and take it away like a virginity from Rolf Harris. And yep, up into 5th position he doth go. Can you tell what it is yet? It's not podium, Heasterbeek. So, Van der Vault still only a couple of seconds behind that, keeping a watching brief, so he can't be too disappointed. Hamnet is next up on Cooper and Hardwick's lists, because Hardwick's got round Muscat for 10 and 11. And he is only 2.3 seconds up the road from Cooper, and is being eaten into faster than a batty. What else have we got going on? Mikko Swokas still just a second and a bit behind Jason Muscat as well. De Vos now clear. Rouse has cleared Leibeer for 14th and 15th positions, so that's a change there. Kieran Ryan and Timu Toika are battling over 16th and 17th still. Jordan Weeks has been into the pits, I'd imagine, because, yeah, he has last time round. So he's a second man to make a pit stop. Alvarez and Stanton are battling over the wooden spoon as well for 21st and 22nd as Lewis Redshaw? Lewis Redshaw comes in. Have some more sauce, Si. From lap 15. That cuts it beautifully, perfectly for a 3-stopper maybe. I'd have thought 2 would be the more picture. And he's gone for the hard tyres. Do love a wee bit of strategy. Past goes Hamnet. Past goes Cooper. Past will go Hardwick and Muscat. Ooh. The Redshaw out into traffic. All of them though on the red-ringed hard tyres. Who's that? Someone's not quite connected through the timing being. Hopefully that will right itself very shortly, but it's still now Paresis from Casa, Morris up to 3rd, then Euler, Heasterbeek and Van der Vault. There's Nijo's nose to tail pretty much. Hamnet being reeled in by Cooper, then Hardwick and Muscat. Redshaw are first of the pitted. Toika in from what was 17th. He'll rejoin in 18th. Such is the gap that he's got over Mark Fuller in the ST. And Mark Stanton has overtaken Alberto Alvarez for the wooden spoon position. Down into turn 1 that was, so beautifully done there by the constant driver, the sole constant here today, so constantly battling on. I think we can take from that. And the top lot in this lap so far as Tom pops in from 6th position. That'll do him nicely. Hamnet, Cooper and Hardwick continue on. As Mikko Swokas in from 12th position as well, which will give Lewis Redshaw a bit of a breath or a breather because he was in trouble. Bart de Vos now popping in the background too. So it appears people want to chop this race into very specific portions. A bit like my cheesecakes, I like to do them whole. What is up with family size cheesecake? We can do those between the two of us, me and the other half. Probably says more about our tummies than it does anything else. 25% race distance completed then. Lap 16 of 60 we are on. 1.9 seconds the gap between Paresis and Casa. All very calm up there. 13.8 now the gap though back to Morris. He's lost about a second and a half over the last 3 laps. Euler now in clear air. Not really pushing away from Heasterbeek. The gap between that exactly a second. Hamnet in 6th position, ST in dizzy heights, but he's now got Cooper for company. As Jim Paresis pops in from the lead, Alberto Alvarez has just disconnected. Oh no, he's not. He's just pulled over to the side and stopped. Obviously, dinner time for him. Casa then leads the way. Where's Paresis going to pop out? Because this is going to be very delightful. And that's another set of the red-rimmed option tyres. Last pit garage practically. And he's out behind Heasterbeek. And that little gaggle of cars with him and Euler went through quite nicely. He's beat out Harley Hamnet, so he's in clear air. That's going to really pay dividends there for Paresis and on the option tyres, so he'll be up to speed much quicker and able to deal with stuff as Hardwick and Muscat nearly collect each other exiting the pits. But Oscar stays ahead of Muscat for the time being. Where Muscat fancying a nose at him down into turn 1 slightly. Rouse in as well for Woods Racing. People are in. Toyka and Kieran Ryan nearly collect each other. Oh, both missed the Schumacher rest there. Toyka will stay ahead because Ryan lost the corner as well. And Muscat... No, he doesn't. Sorry. So Kieran Ryan stays behind Toyka for 17th and 18th. Got to keep track of these battles. But Casa is in this time round. What was the gap between him and Jim? 19.6 seconds. I think Jimmy boy will be alright. Where is Lee? Yeah, Lee Morris has been in as well. Or has he? Lee Morris is showing in 7th. Must have been in. Must have been in. He's behind Redshaw and right behind Redshaw, unless he's had a mistake. I shall have a look and see. If he has, he's lost a chuckload of time. Make sure when we see the pit monitors come out. But Paresis out ahead of Casa. Pretty much status quo on the old gaps. If anything, Casa's gained a couple of temps there. Euler and Heasterbeek still going. As is Hamnet in 5th. Redshaw, who's pitted in 6th. Morris is in 7th, and that was a 1:48. So yeah, that is in line with a pit stop. So that will do for Maurice. But he... Then, yeah, Redshaw must have either lost out dramatically in all of that. Well, he's on the slower tyres, obviously, as well. But that's going to be candy for Morris, potentially. Vandervoort out just ahead of Cooper. Cooper fancying a nose through, and he needs to dispose of him quite quickly if he wants a clean run at people. Hardwick 10, Muscat and Swokas, DeVos, Rouse and Weeks, your point scorers currently at the moment. Just 3 retirements now as Vinod Moodley's crashed. Everyone has shock. Yep, Moodley out. Looks ragged in quali actually. Did Vinod as Heasterbeek's in and he's hit the pit wall. Oh dear. Heasterbeek running the pit lane curb on the outside. I'm sure he touched the wall there. If it wasn't, it was so close that actually, in a sexual term, it's probably called edging. Into the pits he comes. Through goes the TMO duo. Again, a slightly hesitant getaway, and that was because Hamnet was coming in behind, I think. But he's through, but Morris has leapfrogged him. Nice and properly kept out the advantage. And that was Morris going past Redshaw down into turn 1 at the same time. So that's a net gain there for Lee Morris. Puts him in 3rd position once the stops have sorted themselves out. Hamnet rejoins in 10th behind Oscar Hardwick and Alex Cooper. Now they've both pitted. So that's a net loss for Harley. So they've not needed to pass him on track. And Redshaw, different strategy to the rest of these leaders. Maybe he'll pop into play a little bit more later on. But at the moment, this is losing him out. And Morris through, didn't get held up much. So it's been a path of least resistance there for Morris with Redshaw. Obviously, if you're on the slower tyres and you're ahead, you want to try and stop them as Hamnet runs out wide, and that's going to allow Muscat through for 10 and 11. No. Hamnet much better exit out of the hairpin, goes back up into 10. Muscat 11. That is a battle as Lucas Euler pops in the TMO car from what was the lead. It's now down to 3rd, 4th in a tumble. As David Junt has just sent me a message just saying it was exactly the same thing that happened to him. Said, he might be popping in for a wee chat for a second. As Euler rejoined side by side with Morris, who's going to go for what there? Ooh! Euler! Someone make him a chef, he gets the chops out. Morris being tasty. The Big Tasty, we've got a Big Tasty fan club chat room in here. Maybe he wants that named after him. He's going to go for the inside. No, he switches to a late lunge around the outside. Full throttle, swings the car in. Euler there just says, nope, 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 not coming through. If there was a gift for that, I'm sure Timu would have it. Morris keeps in the slipstream as they pop out the top from that lethal chicane. Morris going to go for a dive through, and here, oh, beautifully done. Does he keep it on the full four wheels within the lines? Yes, he does. Beautiful move there for him. Euler down to fourth position. That's helped Redshaw keep well within striking distance there. Remember, he's getting the slower tyres out of the way, and he fancies a move on Euler because Redshaw has lost 2 positions in this phase already. He's to be right behind too. Cooper has leapfrogged Vandervoort in all of this as well. So all troubles and fun and games going on there. And whilst that, we'll just make sure that Redshaw doesn't have a stab at Euler down into turn 1, because I think he's half thinking of it. He's up in the slipstream, he's going to go for it right the way down into turn 1. Euler gives him plenty of room to have the inside line for turns 2 and 3. But doesn't need to worry because Redshaw backs poos out. We're joined in the commentary booth by Mr. David Junt at the moment, who I believe is having a run of deja vu and bad luck rolled into one big sausage sandwich.
Well, yes, it is.
Tell us about it. What happened, Dave?
Same thing as at Spa, sadly. Just random disco just before the line at lap 1. And that's, well, yeah, you say it's really unmotivating or dismotivational, like the posters.
Boo. It was a shame because she's actually solidly in the top 10. And Red Archer, you're having such a great scrap in the Constructors' battle with Hawkeye in general. I know Hawkeye are performing above their weight at the moment, but there's only 9 points between you, and that's something that you really didn't want, I'm sure.
No, absolutely not, of course, and that was really, well, raging, of course, after the disco, because it's something out of my hands. If I crash, okay, I crash, my fault, but maybe I should just go to the next room next to here and just unplug that Ethernet cable, and then we'll see if it's getting better or not, but until next time I just have to train again. But yeah, well, it looked good, pace was okay, I did something at least before the race, and we had some, well, a plan, and well, couldn't really make it work because, yeah, gone before it even started to get into gear. Well, as Redshaw continues to hound Euler for 4th and 5th positions, the other big battle is actually Hamnet and your teammate Jason Muscat battling over 10 and 11 position. So it's not complete doom and gloom for Red Archer. Jason's been nudging around the edges of the top 10. Hopefully you'll be expecting him to finish inside that top 10 for this race. Of course, I'm also really, of course, unhappy that can't get any points for Red Archer, because I think top 12 would have been possible, of course, and now we just have to rely on Jason again, and looking on the driving, I would say he's better on options and I was better on the primes, but well, now he has to do all the work and I can't support him. That's really bad, of course, and I'm feeling not that good, so I'm now off to watching Europe League football.
Oh god, you might as well just go and slit your wrists, mate. That's no good at all. I suggest you go grab a beer and chill out, and we shall see you on the grid at Indy, where hopefully you won't get to that banked car and lag out. And if you're going to disconnect, you need to do some proper lagging beforehand and cause some mischief.
Yeah, true. That's strange. It just happens random like this, and
well, your teammates
we'll have to see.
Your teammates just grabbed 10th out of the Schumacher S, passing Harley Hamnet in a beautiful move there. So, with that said, best of luck for Indy, and we shall see you on the grid there. You take care.
Thanks. That's such a beat, Jason. So, yeah, well, see you next time. Thanks.
Take it easy. That was David Junt, who sadly had a disconnection on the opening lap whilst in a top 10 position. Someone's off the track there as Jordan Weeks and Bart DeVos, go side by side into turn 1 for 13th and 14th. Bart de Vos keeps that position for the time being. I think it was Mark Fuller that was just getting out the way there. Timo Toika's passed Kieran Ryan at some point for 17th and 18th as well. So stuff going on up and down the field. The racing order on lap 23 that we're just coming to the end of is Jim Paris is 2.5 seconds clear of Peter Kassa. Lee Morris now in third position, but 19 seconds off the back of this TMO duo, and that gap has increased 5 seconds on this round of stops. Euler now up into fourth position, not pulling clear from Lewis Redshaw. Redshaw keeping very much in touch and does like having a good stab or half a stab down into turn 1. Spends the rest of the lap re-catching back up again to have another stab down at the next one, as Mark Stanton has just crashed out on the Constant Racing car from last position. So that's a shame there for him. I wonder if he was the guy that I spotted at the side of the road. Redshaw not close enough this time by to have a look at Euler. Heasterbeek is just a further second back in 6th position. Do not discount that Nijo, and remember, in terms of the championship, it's Euler and Heasterbeek we are looking at. Cooper's in 7th. All on his own after that bizarre start line spin. Van der Voort now in 8th position. He's got company in terms of Oscar Hardwick in Hawkeye in 9th. He's closing him in. Muscat now up into 10th ahead of Harley Hamnet in 11. Mikko Swokas is in 12th, 5 seconds back. Jordan Weeks has just overtaken Bart de Vos now in the Senna S for Senna S, Schumacher S, sorry, get my checks wrong. For 13th and 14th position, Nordjane and Green Stripes. Adam Rouse in 15th, 56 seconds off. Still on those hard tyres. And still, he had a pit stop on lap 17. So he's gone hard. Bizarre. So all different strategies working out here. Then outside the points, Kenny Lybeer in the Kerr now. Timo Toika and Kieran Ryan battling away with Woods and Phoenix. Mark Fuller on his own, 1 lap down in the ST. But do not discount Mark Fuller's experience and expertise in always bringing that car home, because that's done him proud, particularly last time out in Spa, where he came home in 11th position. So the field begins to settle back down again. If anything, Redshaw now actually more under pressure from Heasterbeek behind than he is giving pressure to Euler up ahead. Muscat and Hamnet still very much close together for 10 and 11. Hardwick just a couple behind as Jordan Weeks pops into the pits from 14th position. Really dancing to his own tune as usual. Heasterbeek, that's his first proper stab at Redshaw. So Heasterbeek trying to strike while the iron's hot on these tyres. They have a shorter shelf life. Do the options. But they also have a better peak and a better trough, or a worse trough, dare I say, than the yellow rimmed tyres that Redshaw are on. Not quite close enough to have a go into the Schumacher S. The old fans, the Vidal chicane. Going the age a bit there. Completely different lines out of the final turn. Heasterbeek getting a wee bit curb happy, and that's distracted him a little bit from having a stab down into turn 1. One of the many preferred overtaking manoeuvres. But what the Nijos will probably have learnt from is that they both got done into turn 3 with a random lunge. And having seen that move done to them, that kind of makes you wise to it, and you start wanting to have a go at it back again on someone else. Morris now 20.3 seconds off of the TMO duo, who is not gaining. Really been a commending show so far from Torrent Motorsports. Something we've not really seen from that team, or from a team, for a little while. Midnight Motorsport have kind of left their big show-stopping drives that happened towards the first half of the season. Slowly caught and swallowed up by the midfield. Not the midfield, the rest of the front field, sorry. Jordan Weeks rejoined in 16th position, by the way, which has popped Liberia up into 15th, and they're already having a wee scrapperoo over that final points paying position. But Heasterbeek again caught himself up to the back of Brittany, who would dearly love to have a number 1 again soon. Redshaw would like to give Hawkeye a number 1. Easterbeek's just probably sitting there going, come on, 2.5 seconds further up the road from this guy is my championship rival. I don't really care about anyone else, I just need to beat him. As Weeks has just passed Liberia. Actually, it's quite funny because you've got Weeks, Liberia, Toyka and Ryan all separated by 4 seconds. And that's kind of the last cars on track. Below withstanding. Definite art to bit. Oh, Liberia's off! Liberia's off in 16th position here. Oh, we caught that one well. No, don't take Ryan out when you rejoin. Whew. About to be lapped actually by the TMO drivers. But Liberia getting it all crossed up on the exit. Perfect save. Unfortunately, that's dropped him 3 positions effectively. Jordan just passed him. Becker and Ryan scrabble through. Back 28 of 60. So, also worth noting, Oscar Hardwick has caught up onto the back of Tom Vandervoort in the battle for 8th and 9th. So both Nijos now in differing positions. One is attacking, the other is defending. And they're on separate tyre strategies as well. Tom is on the yellow compound. Used to be on the red options. Softer. Anyone that's got any thoughts or predictions or anything like that, you're more than welcome to send me a tweet. I'm at Satorimon. We love getting some crowd interaction going in these races. You know I love it. Ooh, as Heasterbeek gets it all wrong coming out from the fast chicane. Completely has to drive around the outside of the anti-cut. That will give Redshaw a bit of a breather. Surprisingly though, Euler is not pulling away still, despite the fact that Redshaw has spent the last few laps being defensive as opposed to offensive. So, I suppose, well, Redshaw is offensive. Have you seen him in TeamSpeak? It's a disgrace. Not quite as offensive as his teammate, who is actually not harrying Tom Vandervoort at all. Tom seems to have found a little mini upper gear as he crosses the line. Yeah, a 1:29.1. That's the fastest lap he's done for about, yeah, since lap 13. So Tom's found an extra gear and he's getting faster and faster each lap as those tyres come into their own a wee bit more. Oscar Hardwick last time around at 1:29.4, so he actually dropped away a smidge. Different drivers deal with pressures differently, I think. You've got the drivers who relish having someone right on their rear and pushing them along, because I think they're just thinking, I don't want them anywhere near me, and it raises their game. Other people, as soon as you get a car that's kind of right splat on your rear, kind of staring your tush in the face, you get so fixated on the fact that they're there, and you start pressurizing yourself into a mistake. And it's essentially those that can hack the pressure of that and those that can't. And if they can't rise to the occasion, probably not going to be on top in the Superleague for very long. And they'll be the ones that you know that you can pressure into a mistake. I know it's very different kettle of fish and different kettle of drivers, but very much in Formula Challenge I know exactly. I sit in the practice sessions and watch how other people react when they're over moving over for other cars or so on and so forth, and you start to gain like a mental profiling of how drivers are. And if you can work out exactly who and who you don't race with, and who you know who you can kind of run out to the edge of the curb or just be really cheeky of in the braking zone, or chopping across an apex, and you know very quickly the ones that you just go, get the hell out of there, as Tomomu Toika goes a lap down in the woods racing from Jim. The gap between those down to 2 seconds because they're negotiating Ryan and Toika at the same time. And they've had live beer and all of that as well, so that's their gaggle of cars to be lapped. Weeks is the next one, actually, a further 6 or 7 seconds up the road. But you do that kind of profiling. Is Hardwick now closer to Van der Vault than he ever has been? This should be interesting. And they'll know that Tom will race hard, but he will be fair, whereas Hardwick is a little bit more of a stick it in and hope for the best jobby, especially, well, from his tin top days especially. Lesser known quantity. And therefore you're prepared to give them that little bit extra room, and especially if you're looking, Nijo are playing, oh my god, I want to go for the championship, and at the moment they're not in the position to do so here, as Tom dives off into the pits, actually, feeling the need to dump those option tyres. Redshaw still ahead of Heasterbeek. That will do nicely. Something else has just changed as well. Oh no, it's not. It's Tom just dropping down the order now. He's going to rejoin, probably side by side, if not ahead of Adam Rouse, who's down in 14th position. Are you going to get out ahead? Yes, he does, and that's quite key because Rouse is on a long old strategy because he's doing his second round of the yellow hard tyres. So that was key for Tom to get out in nice clear air. He's got a ton of clear air actually, so he needs to get petter to the medal. Metal, I know what I mean. As Lee Morris slides through the chicane. 20.1 seconds, he's pegging the gap now, not necessarily reeling it in, but he's pegging. And that's key, as Redshaw and Heasterbeek come up to traffic. This could be interesting because Heasterbeek able to claw right onto the back because Redshaw is not quite so comfortable, I don't think, seeing that traffic. And for the first time ever, as, who's that in the pits? It's Morris. Redshaw under attack from Heasterbeek. Is he going to get blocked in by Kieran Ryan? Down into the first hairpin. Redshaw gets the outer line in. Ryan still not out of the way, feeling the need to keep onto the racing line. 3, 4 and 5. They've not quite caught him yet, but this is going to be Redshaw sitting there going, where do I go? What do I do? Ryan gets out of the way right on time. Right on time, right on time. Who remembers that? Ryan Heasterbeek goes out into 5th position. It's, oh, Redshaw! One wheel on the grass. Good save. Thought that was going to be drama llama in the barriers. Ryan half having a look at Heasterbeek. Calm down, calm down. As Bart de Vos pits for Green Stripes Racing. That will do. Second round of pit stops then coming up. Everyone was in roughly lap 15, 16 last time round, so it makes sense laps 31 to 34 maybe will be where the main lot will come in. Van der Vault and Hardwick have rejoined their battle. Still nose to tail in 11th and 12th position because Hardwick's been in the pits as well. So that has worked out well for them. Both on the same type of tyre this time, so that will be interesting to see as they resume battle. And Heasterbeek right on the back of Redshaw again. And Redshaw's pitting. He's had enough of those tyres. That surprises me. I'd have thought he'd have gone a smidgy bit longer than that, but in he comes from what was 4th position, already down to 5. Cooper's going to go through too. And it'll be interesting to see exactly where he pops out as Van der Vault and Hardwick nose to tail for 11th and 12th. Whilst all that goes on, Cassa's 1.9 behind Paresis for the lead. That's the first time that's been under 2 seconds in a while. These two have got to watch because Rouse's are just a couple of seconds down the road too, and they're holding each other up whilst they scrabble. Van der Vault slightly allergic to the racing line. Hardwick goes in slightly deeper and Rouse pops into the pit, so that's one distraction out the way for them. Continue on, and Hardwick not so good out of that final turn. He did take a slightly more angular line into the corner. Tom very smooth. Smooth voice, smooth operator. Move on that wheel. Got pilot hands, that's probably why. Be a bit rubbish if he was a jerky driver. As Jim is in from the lead, Casa goes through and takes it for the time being. The Paresis again first to Blinky Poo. See what tyres he's popping onto. Looks like he'll be staying again on the options. Yes, he is. Red options is the way, and he's going to be out before Euler gets through. So beautifully done there. Just the lap to Mark Fuller. The only traffic that he'll get. Fuller now two laps down in the ST car. So, cameraman extraordinaire just saying possible. Jim was a bit close to the line when he came into the pit, so there may be problems with that there. Jason Muscat in from 8th position. That helps out Lewis Redshaw's pit window opportunities. Who else is in? Alex Cooper exiting the pits from what was 6th or 7th position. He's rejoined behind Harley Hamnet, who's yet to pit. That shows the extent of how Cooper's been able to pull out and get gaps on lap 34 now of 60, past half distance obviously, in this German Grand Prix, which is constantly dishing out little splashes of goodness. And Tom van der Voort and Oscar Hardwick pass Jason Muscat on exit of the pits. So up to 9 and 10, Muscat down to 11. That's all the net position gains with all of that, so interesting stuff. Morris 9 seconds clear of Redshaw. Still on the same tyres, so Morris will definitely have to pit again. I think they'll all have to pit again, to be honest. Casa exits the pits from his stop. Paresis is through. The game remains the same. Just re-lap Mark Fuller for the second time. There's a back marker. I used to really annoy that when you'd find yourself being unlapped through pit stops when you'd just been lapped, because then you'd lose double hands and fists as Hardwick nearly loses it. Bounces over the anti-cuts in 10th position. That won't help him in his quest to get past Tommy Boy. Yeah, as a person who thrives in 33rd position, in longer distances than, say, Formula Challenge when I do longer races in other leagues, I'd have a slightly different strategy so that I knew that I wouldn't get caught up with being double lapped, even though I was only being lapped the once, because the amount of time that you lose hand over fist in that can sometimes cost you that 33rd position. Because we all know that that is really what it's all about. Patience is key. Repeat after me. 107% rule is an aspiration. The gap between the TMO drivers actually on lap 36 that they're starting, 1.7 seconds. Casa, that lap, took out 3/10. Newer tyres, both on the red options again. Euler's in third, yet to pit. Same with Heasterbeek. Morris looking quite good. Did a quick check over from the pit lane speeding from Jim. It looks like it's an OK for that, so that's all good. Been close though to warrant our eagle-eyed man. What was that part? Was it Eagle-Eye Cherry? One hit wonder? Because you've got a sister who's a pop star that's named after a fruit. Doesn't guarantee your fame. Still Tom though ahead of Oscar for 9 and 10. Different lines entirely into the final turn, to the point where Oscar had gone in deep and got slightly cut up by Tom because Tom was taking the normal racing line. So Hardwick not maximising his utilities and his opportunities because he was so close to have a good stab down into turn 1. All comes in time. Of course, it's all very well of me to sit there saying you should do this, you should do that, whilst I'm 5-6 seconds off the pace. Hindsight And eyes are a wonderful thing. Timu Toika and Kieran Ryan having a right scrap over 17 and 18 to the point where I think they're going to go side by side down into the Schumacher S. They've got Lee Morris who's trying to lap the duo. Will Kieran fancy a stab? He's going for it again. That's the second time. Are they going to make contact? The second time in a row they both miss that chicane, and neither one of them will want to get out of the way because Morris is lapping them. Ryan gets out of the way nicely there for Lee Morris. Well done. Timu's going to move over and blend in, but what that will do is allow Kieran Ryan to go full maximum attack down the straight as they pass the parked Nijo in the pits of Hasterbeek. Ah! Contact! Ryan's going down. Is he going to hit? Oh my goodness me! Lee Morris breathes a sigh of relief there. That was good. Timu Toika, is he in the wall? Is he stopped? Yeah, he's out. Timu Toika out. Do you know what? I could see that coming. That was... there had been little mini contretemps on the way through there, and if I just look at the replay, Morris had braked slightly. Toika does this... It's like he does a really sharp steer across, and Ryan was already committed to the corner, so they just met in the middle. I'll be difficult to call who does that. Harley Hamnet has just pitted and rejoined in 11th position. I thought I saw a car parked at the exit. Oh no, it's a safety car on the exit of the pits there. So that's all good. Redshaw and Hasterbeek though side by side for 5 and 6, and Hasterbeek is through round the outside of the hairpin. That's an important change of position because Redshaw is really fired up trying to get back through again. Side by side again, mini contact into the fast chicane. Hasterbeek clinging on for 5th position for all he is worth. Redshaw nearly smacks the anti-cuts but gets a fantastic exit out of the corner. He's going to go side by side into the hard, fast light-hander. Hasterbeek's got the inside line for the Schumacher S. Can Redshaw brake late enough to go round? No, he doesn't, and he skips the corner, so we'll have to be careful with how he deals with this final one to make sure that he's not deemed to have an unfair advantage coming out onto the straight for this. Euler has pitted and rejoined the entire length of the straight ahead of them. Hasterbeek goes defensive. Redshaw's going further. It's Barrichello and Schumacher all over again. This could be drama down into turn 1. Hasterbeek forced out wide. Redshaw has the inside line for turn 1. Gets a little bit of a tank slapper. Hasterbeek almost urinates some oil on the track in evasion. Redshaw gets 5. More out of luck than judgment because that looked like a car incontrollability that made Hasterbeek brake slightly more than anything else. But that's 5th position, and that's crucial for him because he's got the pace of the TMOs and he's out of position. The other guys have still got to run their hard tyres, so it's important that Redshaw capitalises on the fact that he's now on the fast tyres again and gets some clear air. Hartwick 2 is round on Nijo, so that has been a Hawkeye fest going on because both Nijos demoted by Hawkeyes. Isn't that a turn up for the Books? Hawkeye looking so strong coming into this evenings of entertainment, and they're starting to really show true on their form as Harley Hamnet has passed Jordan Weeks for 11th and 12th positions, so that's interesting. And Tom Vandervoort is behind Jason Muscat. Tom spun off the track there. That was bizarre. It looked like a bit of lag actually from my part. But yeah, he's rejoined behind Jason. So Jason Muscat up to 9th. All kicking off here. Action packed at this German Grand Prix. We're only on lap 39 of 60. Crazy, eh? The racing order, whilst we've got a spare couple of seconds. Jim Paris is 2.7 seconds ahead of Petakasa, TMO 1-2. Lee Morris is in 3rd position as Jordan Weeks has just passed Harley Hamnet. I think Hamnet goes through. Beautiful move there into the Senna S. Weeks is going to go for a stabberoo. No, he's pitting. Fair enough. All a bit of an argy-bargy over now because that was coming to nothing. So back to the racing order, sorry. TMO 1-2, Parisis and Casa. Morris in 3rd, 25 seconds off the lead, still not closing. Euler, 4.5 seconds back in 4th position. Not on a podium at the minute for Euler. Lewis Redshaw's a further 6 seconds back in 5th position, and he's pulling away. Already 1.7 seconds is the gap between him and Hasterbeek. Can he catch Euler? I would say Morris may well be too far out to get at the moment. It's going to be close between whether he can catch Euler or not. We'll see. Hasterbeek in 6th then for Nijo. Alex Cooper in 7th. Great recovery drive from spinning to 20th on the start line. Still clueless over how that one happened. Oscar Hardwick, 8th position, using a little bit too much of the track there, my friend. 9th is Jason Muscat. He's got Tom Vandervoort all over the back of him. Red Archer and Nijo. Nijo slightly out of position now. He's got rid of his yellow-rimmed slower tyres as well, so he's all guns blazing all the way to the line. What he deals with Muscat, in fact, is slightly further back. I think he's just trying to go for the optimum line to the final turn, but he's slightly too far back, I think, and a bit of a wobbly exit. Harley Hamnet then in his 11th position, a further 9 seconds back for ST, doing a mighty fine job for that team. Swokas in 12th for Norzone, top Norzone. Vardavos 13th for Green Stripes. They'll relish the points, although I bet he'll be wondering why he's not in that Hawkeye at the moment with the way that car's going. Adam Rouse 14th position for Woods Racing. In the points, Woods have had a bit of a points drought of recent. Clearly, not having their team boss as a commentator, probably a good luck charm. 15th for Jordan Weeks in the other Norge Zone, still in the points. And Jordan spends most of the practice sessions audibly kicking himself for things. And not been too bad in relation to his teammate, but Norge Zone I think will be disappointed with their pace in general. 16th outside the points and a lap down is Kenny Lybeer, as is Kieran Ryan. Did recover from that collision with Toyka. 2 laps down in 18th is Fuller, and Tom Vandervoort, fantastic drive through that quick chicane. Is he going to have a go? Nope. Different lines thought better of it. Muscat very persuasive on the racing line there. Again, Tom up onto the back. Hamnet and Swokas are in similar positions in the battles 10 seconds further down the road as Tom... That made me worried. Let's back out of it. It's the camera angle for that chicane. It makes anyone having half a vague move look much closer than they are. Tom has another little mini look down to turn 1. Muscat a little bit wobbly and unsettled on entry. Gets it all up to Napalm the apex though, so that was a good recovery. Hamnet and Swokas side by side nearly for turns 1 and 2 as well. But Hamnet keeps that. Hamnet on the yellow rimmed tyres, so he's a little bit of monkey bait. As Tom, that's not generally an overtaking place. Still fancied a bit of a look. I suppose if you can surprise someone you might be able to do it. These are the two big battles out on track at present. De Vos and Rouse still having a vague scrap over 13 and 14 as well. So keep an eye on that. All towards the lower end of the points. Everyone else got a few seconds between them. So they're just having a wee breather. Muscat and Vandervoort. Vandervoort trying to go around the outside there. That didn't work. Work at all. Tom going for the outside. In the chicane. He's got it. He cuts right across. Beautifully done there by Tom. Broke late. Had the outside line, which gets the inside for the exit and just says, you know what, this time I'm coming through. Beautiful stuff, and well executed there with Jason actually to be able to stop in time and recognise when enough is enough. Swokas has just done the same on Harley Hamnet as well, so he's up in from 11th and 12th positions. That's worthwhile noting too. De Vos and Rouse still battling for 13 and 14, although there's slight mini gap between them. So that's that little gaggle of cars all sorted out for the time being. But they're all quite close enough that actually if Rouse gets past De Vos, he can close in on Hamnet. So that'll be interesting to note. Did anyone place bets on sim racing? Would a real bookie actually take that? We could get everyone addicted to gambling. I say that like it's a good thing. Who knows? Interestingly, 5 seconds now, the gap between Redshaw and Euler. That's down from 7.5, so he's eating in. Unfortunately, it's all a little bit like an anorexic because he's only taking little morsels. He needs to be taking big fat chunks. The retirement so far, David Junt disconnection on lap 1. Alberto Alvarez just pulled off to the side of the track on turn 1 and retired from the race on lap 15. Vinod Moodley crashed out lap 17. Mark Stanton crashed out lap 21. And Timu Toeko with his collision with Kieran Ryan in the wall and out lap 36. 18 still remain. Mark Fuller 2 laps down. Weeks, Liberia and Ryan all 1 down. Top 14 stood on the lead lap. And Hamnet has been caught now by De Vos and Rouse. So Hamnet on that slower tyre, tumbling down the field and struggling for grip by the looks of it, running out wide between 2 and 3. You can kind of get away with it so long as you don't stay on the curb and you actually make a concerted effort to go completely wide, because doing a half-hearted I've just gone slightly wide is actually more painful to your lap time. But De Vos and Rouse looking much faster on their different compound tyres, and look at the grip that De Vos has on the exit, to the point where Hamnet's pushing him right the way out. De Vos then switches to go down the outside. Does he have enough drive to do it? That would be astounding if he does. He's having a go. Oh, contact between the two. Nowhere left there for De Vos to go. Hamnet closing the door quite certainly, but that's pushing all three together. Paresis is just behind this lot, hoping they don't clash, and they're going to clash anyway. De Vos goes out wide. Rouse is going to take that one through. Yoink! Well, Hamnet making his car so wide, someone's going to have to take that rear wing to Weight Watchers as Rouse goes steaming through, and Hamnet's going to lose out to the pair of them. 3 wide into the centre S! Someone brake! Ah! Oh my god, Hamnet brakes and loses out the 2 positions. De Vos loses out altogether. Stops almost all of a sudden. Rouse is stopping as well. Are they waiting for each other? Bizarre. Hamnet says, I'm not waiting, sod the lot of you, and he's gone up into 12th. Rouse and De Vos, now that have stopped, let the leaders through, rejoined, but they're the 2 that have really lost out, and De Vos, if anything, has lost out to the lot entirely, because he's dropped the position that he'd gained, and then Rouse as well. So, drama llamas. And the leaders negotiated that one quite nicely. 26 seconds now the gap between Paresis and Kassa. Kassa still... Paresis and Morris. Kassa just popping a lap on Hamnet. Yes, Simon Melowish, you can look now. The TMO drivers are through. Anyone that doesn't know, the camera man that does all of this excellent behind the scenes stuff and doesn't get enough credit for doing it is the TMO team boss. Normally heard audibly screaming, biting nails, probably just bashing women in the background. Come here, wench. Who knows? Whilst drinking a pint of mead. Rouse straight up onto the back of Hamnet as well for 12 and 13. Such is the pace loss that Hamnet is having. I don't think he should stay on that tyre for very long. It's not working out. One of the big things I think for this Super League is the ability to be able to work your setup and your driving for both compound tyres, and if you're poor on one compared to the other, it really is noticeable. Here comes Rouse. Rousey the Mousey. Picking up Cheddar. There he goes, 12th position. Hamnet tries to regain it back through on the outside for 2 and 3. That'll never work. But that could be interesting because Rouse has already done his run on the yellow soft compound. Remember, he done 2 stints of it. So he's more than done. And Hamnet off! Just about recovers, but that's actually put him now in the place of De Vos to have a go too. So, drama llamas for him. Everyone else is still as you were. And De Vos goes through up into 13. Hamnet down to 14. And I have to say, Jordan Weeks is on the red ring tyres. He's only a couple of seconds down the road as well. So Harley needs to get his Davidson out the way or get his teammate involved. Ah. Oh! Contacts between the STs! Oh dear. That was a bit unnecessary. Poor Mark Fuller. Never mind. They're still alright. They're still going. Mikko Swokas into the pits from 11th position. Last of the unlapped runners. Now goes a lap down. And this will be the final run of stops. Lap 47 we've just started with Jim Paresis. So they'll have probably one more stop left for everyone to go. It's really surprised me actually that everyone still seems to have cut this race pretty much into 3 distinct, almost even chunks, as Lee Morris is in from 3rd position as well. 25.5 seconds the gap between Paresis and Morris. Is slightly closed down, but not nearly enough to make a massive distance. Lewis Redshaw in as well from 4th position. That's allowed Euler to push up 1. So that will do Morris doing the yellow-rimmed slower tyres on his last run, which could leave him open to Redshaw, because remember, Redshaw's done him. And he's back out on the old Reddies. So that will do nicely for Redshaw. That could be a last minute gasp there. 13 laps left to complete. Hardwick in too in the other Hawkeye, so a double turnaround for the team. He rejoins in 8th position, not really quite getting out of the grid box properly there, and that's allowed Muscat up into 8th, although he's yet to pit. Still 18 runners and riders. Mark Fuller now lapped by the entire field. Kieran Ryan's facing the wrong way out of the final turn in 17th position. Was that of his own doing? Let me just take a wee looky look. Yeah, all on his own. Bizarre there. It's like he's already done the corner and then it just spins of his own. It's maybe a gear shift problem there or something, but he's rejoined in 17th position. Just behind Rouse. Obviously he must have some damage to that car from the Toyota accident as well. So he's wrestling the car around, hoping for a last couple of retirements towards the end of the race, which we nearly had, to be fair, because there is potential points there should the unfortunate happen to elsewhere to other people. Tom Vandervalt's just ran out of fuel. Oh no! Yeah, oh look! He's had to park up on the entrance to the pit lane! Oh no, Tom Vandervault! No one let the bugger fuel his planes. Will be doomed as Liebherr comes in from what is now 15th position thanks to that estimate problem with Tom. We had some problems with this in Formula Challenge. Someone parked up on the last lap in sight of the line. It was all very dramatic and there was probably tears and tantrums and a tiara thrown in for good measure. But, well, that won't help Nijo in the championship. It won't help Tom in his championship hopes either. And that seals, he was very pessimistic going in, undeservedly so. And, yeah, that's going to have sealed the fate on that one. That'll put Ryan to 16 and Fuller to 17. Points there. Yeah, Adam Rouse in from 10th position. That set, specific set has really pushed him up the order. So Rouse coming into his own in the second half of the race. Redshaw 11 seconds behind Morris currently at the moment. So he's not really gaining at the speed that I think he needs to capture him. Jordan Weeks has just overtaken Harley Hamnet for 10 and 11 down at turn 2. So that's for position net. Even if they do both have to pit again. Reese is still 2.3 ahead of Casa. This is good for Jim. In the opening part of the season, a lot of people saying, oh, he's playing second fiddle to Petr and so on and so forth. And as the cars now hit the front, it's been Jim that's been doing the majority of the leading of the duo. They've never been far away from each other, ever, in terms of pace. But they always seem to be like 2 or 3 seconds apart, but it's Casa that's just ahead. And as soon as it hits the big time for TMO, it's Jim that's kind of gone, oh, I'll have the number 1 slot, thank you very much. And that has done him no harm at all, and that's actually going to help him really catch up with Casa in the Drivers' Championship as those two battle out. Dilola yet to pit in 3rd, he's yet to pit 4, Cooper in 5, Morris has pitted for the last time, is in 6, as is Redshaw in 7. The gap now down to 9.7 seconds, so Redshaw now has the hammer in. So can he do it? We shall soon find out for that. Muscat 8. Hardwick 9, and of course they're going to have Euler pop out in the middle of all that with his stops, so he's going to have to negotiate him potentially. Everyone else just sorting themselves out. Kieran Ryan 2 laps down now. Cooper's in from 5th position, already down to 6th. Craft Midnight Motorsports car. Redshaw will get him on the pit straight. Indeed he does, so Cooper will rejoin in 7, Muscat in 8th. Hardwick still unlapped in 9th. Be his main problems to worry about. As Paresis pops in from the lead, hands it over to Petter. So far this race, Petter has always been in the very next lap. Looks much neater on the entry to the pit lane. The old speeding. Off and away you go. Something about the pit lane we should mention actually, that there was potential and Paresis needs to stay ahead of Weeks. Oh, he's gone a bit wonky on the exit. Jordan Weeks, good evasive action there. Paresis knows that he had to get the hammer down. Of course, onto the slower tyres. This extra lap for Casa could well be key. And at least Paresis, out ahead of Weeks, doesn't have to deal with lapped traffic. So that he has a clean, consistent run to the flag. 17.8 seconds the gap between Casa and Paresis. According to the timing beams, we'll soon get an update on that very shortly. Not quite a pit stop that. Pit stop's about 21. Paresis not being left alone by Weeks actually, because Weeks obviously up to speed on tyres that are actually faster as well. So Casa in, though this time round, not trying to push it an extra lap to see if he's got the grip to go faster. Not got the fuel for it either. In he comes then. But the gap there, 18 and a bit, and Muscat there leaving the pits as Casa comes in. This is going to be problematical. Oh. That will not help because I don't know if he's perfectly lined up. Poor Muscat just had nowhere to go. Casa then rejoins. Here comes Paresis down the straight. Casa's up on there. He's closer than I thought. Here comes Paresis braking for turn 1. Are they going to meet on the exit? Yes, they are. But Paresis just has it. Oh, look at... What's Jordan doing? Round he goes! Smacks Casa! What is Jordan Weeks doing? Trying to race all of that. Caught up in the middle. Real problems there for the Nordzone driver. He rejoins ahead of Hamnet just about, but wrong place, wrong time. And near disastrous consequences. If he'd have clouted Casa on a wheel there, that could have been him round. Oh ho ho. Now that was a compounding effect of Paresis getting it wrong on the exit of the pits down into turn 1, gave Casa the momentum to have a go, who then got thwarted by the weird side-by-side pit stop action of himself and Muscat, which compiled for him to then go desperate and get caught out with Jordan just caught in the middle of everything and not getting out of the way. Talk about consequences and timelines and how things transpire in a race. We've been going for nearly an hour and a half and it comes down to a lap's worth of randomness. Euler still yet to pit is in 3rd position. He's to beat yet to pit still in 4. Then it's Morris and Redshaw. The gap between that is 8 seconds with 8 laps to go. He's not closing quick enough, I don't think, is Lewis. Cooper is still in 7th and looking very struggling on those tyres. Hardwick's in 8th. Muscat's behind him now in 9. Weeks into the pits, passes 10th to Hamnet. I wonder if Hamnet's going to try and get to the flag on that long stint of the yellow tyres and is going to try it that way. Rouse goes into 11 then. Weeks will rejoin in 13th behind teammate Suokas. Libby is 14. DeVos in 15th. Not quite sure what's happened to Bart, but he's dropped right off that battle that he was in. Still Ryan and Fuller outside the points, but still going. 1.1 seconds the gap between Paresis and Casa. That's extended from 8/10. Paresis had the heat in the tyres as well. It's not as if these tyres are going to go off anytime soon either. So it is literally the limp to the line. Euler closing the 2 down of the Torrent Motorsports. Does make you wonder, did Kassa, if he'd have had the fuel, if he'd have went an extra lap longer, could he have leapfrogged the Greek? Hindsight is a wonderful thing. I also like to call it a bitch. God damn. Coming around to complete lap 53. 6 to go. 1.4 the gap now between Paresis and Kassa. Don't look like they've been calmed down either, because they are setting fast enough lap times. Euler still not pitting in third, he's leaving it right to the end, but Heasterbeek's in from fourth. This will be interesting because he's going to come out right round Redshaw. Because that is a very quick splash and dash. Through goes Lee Morris, up into fourth position. Heasterbeek still trundling down the pits. Here comes Redshaw, they're going to meet. And Heasterbeek's going to get out ahead of Redshaw. So that is actually a swappy round of positions. Redshaw behind Heasterbeek. I don't know quite how Rude was able to do that with a very long strategy, but Redshaw, from looking like he wanted to take pole position and looking like he was battling for the lead of this race in the opening sector, I think he'll be thoroughly unimpressed if he finishes down in 6th position. A position that, say, 5 races ago, Hawkeye would have snapped up deliriously. It shows how far they've just rolled on as a team throughout this sector of 2013, and the dynamics of how each team can add upgrades and sort themselves out as a season gets underway. However, Redshaw's not done, and he's immediately having a look at Ruud Heasterbeek whilst Ruud is trying to get his tyres up to the temperature. Euler doesn't pit again and is still closing down the TMOs. 12.9 seconds the gap now. What's Redshaw going to do? Is he going to have a look down into the chicane? Yes, he is. Side by side they go. Heasterbeek on the slower tyre. Redshaw has him. Heasterbeek there nudged, well, moves out of the way there. Don't think there was contact between the two. Heasterbeek, yeah, struggling to get full tyre temp. What that does do is effectively save Lee Morris, who is on that slower tyre, because that is a second lost there for Redshaw, and the gap now between him and Morris 7 seconds with 6 laps to go, including the one that they're currently on. Not, yeah, 5 actually. Simon didn't do well at his A-level maths. Immediately pulling away from Heasterbeek. See what he can do with Monsieur Maurice. Euler waxing his strategic best. Not closing down on the Torrent Motorsport drivers this lap round. So could this be the point where things start to twist and change over, and this is where he pits? Yeah. Perfect. Exactly where it is no longer advantageous to try and pound round on those tyres. Just 5 laps on the yellow rimmed will be for Euler. And this could very well see him, you know, looking very much like... Yep, no, he's out, and he's going to beat Morris out. Surely he is. Yes, he is. There's Weeks. There's Euler giving him a wide berth, wise. And there's Morris. Morris has lost out because Euler has been able to just stay out longer on those red-rimmed tyres. And a strategic masterstroke there. Very well done by Euler. Slippery by name and by nature up into 3rd position. And Morris will sit there and think, do you know what? How did I manage to get that? Because he'd battled like a crazy thing to get himself up into 3rd position, and then through strategic value has lost it. Redshaw too, I think, will be kicking himself for doing a massive long stint on those yellow tyres, because the yellow rimmed slower tyres have really not worked for the people that have stayed out on it longer. The only person who could possibly argue that would be Adam Rouse, who's ended up in 11th for Woods Racing. He's the only one that's really made that kind of strategy work at the moment. That's debatable. Rouse normally is looking at around a top 10 finish and he's not able to do it, although he's got Hamnet that he's reeling in quite quickly. The leaders though, 0.8 of a second. Kassa got his Bunsen burner wick out and he is rampant raging. A 128.822 was for him last time round. For Paresis, 128.943. Tiniest of margins, but Paresis last time round done a 129.0, and that's where 3 of the temps have gone. They were lapping Jason Muscat. But even still, Kassa will sit there, and he will sit there, and as I was talking about earlier on in the race, as we are on lap 57 of 60, if you have a car in your mirrors, sometimes that will make you drive defensively and push you into a mistake and make you slower and make you second guess yourself because you're not fully concentrated on the road in front of you. Kassa, when you've got that car in front of you, you start to use it as a yardstick and you know where they brake, and then you can physically go, right, so I'll brake that fraction later if you're judging yourself on that kind of yardstick. It's so much easier to reel in than it is to be chased. I know Mr. Murray Walker used to say that quite a lot. You know what? He's only bloody true. Euler and Morris 2 seconds apart as well. Redshaw's not going to catch the pair of them, so he's going to have to settle for 5th, I'm afraid. Rouse and Hamnet not exactly close for comfort yet either, so the leading battle is the closest one out on track at the moment. What can Kassa do? Are we going to have a last lap lunge for the second week in a row? Second race in a row. We saw it in France. It was dramatic enough there. What will he do here, I wonder? Yep, now up to 8 temps, but it really is just living corner by corner. And if you can get just another temp or 2 closer, when they get into this straight, that's when the slipstream starts to kick in. Over the Schumacher S, Kassa using a little bit more curb. Paresis and Kassa both use a much tighter entry into that final curve. I want to call it the Coca-Cola curve, I don't think it's called that now. Don't know if it ever was. I've just decided. Who knows? I still live like it's F1 1997. Call everything what its names was then. Doing a time warp. Down to 6 temps though. The Kassa visibly closer. And physically closer. The 2 laps to go. Bald on my head. Looking through, everyone else is pretty much settled. Hamnet and Rouse will not catch each other up in the battle for 10th position. And Morris is not closing in on Euler. He's actually falling away. So this is definitely the place for the race, and we're up to now 7/10 of a second. Paresis seems to have it in the first sector. They're nigh on identical in the second, and then Kassa is faster in the third. So each driver has its strengths and weaknesses. The penultimate lap of this German Grand Prix for GPVWC Super League. Thanks for getting yourself in on the action. Pop over to the website. We've got open wheelers, we've got sports cars, we've got tin tops coming. Something for everyone. It's like a filthy pick and mix of sim racing. So, the final lap it is then. Paresis has pulled the gap open to 8 temps. Kassa not so hot on sector 3 that lap, and that could very well be the problem that signifies the end of that one. Euler's having fun lapping the Nord zones, are having a little scrap for 12th and 13th. But he'll keep 3rd because Morris is not getting any compliance from them either. Yep. the gap up to a second now from TMO. I think it would be crazy for them to go and do a move, although Weeks has just passed Suokas down into turn 1 for the Nord zones, so one team quite clearly doesn't do team orders with 1 lap to go. Oh dear. Up over the crest of the hill, you have to say it's been an absolute display of dominance. No one is within half a minute of this duo. I don't think people really saw it coming either. In qualifying, people were saying Euler will pop in a lap, Easterbeek will pop in a lap. No one was really saying the TMO guys will have this, but have it they have. From start to finish, they have dominated, led, and risen up to a class of their own, led by Jim Paresis, who comes across the line to win the German Grand Prix here at the Nurburgring for GPVWC Super League. Petter Kaza makes it a Torrent Motorsport 1-2, a beautiful race by the duo, well deserved, well controlled, and the epitome of sim racing prowess. Lucas Euler doggedly coming home in 3rd position for Midnight Motorsport, and in doing so increases his championship lead, which is relatively slim anyway, but that does give him an advantage. 3rd position, Lee Morris, out-strategized, comes home in 4th for Kernau, but still a feisty drive as ever. Lewis Redshaw, a tale of 2 halves, looked good for the podium and being the only person to hold a light to the TMO boys, but it all fell apart with strategy calls and being caught up with the bottom end of the top 6. Ruud Hiesterbeek though grabs 6th position, in doing so keeps his championship chances very much alive, but he'll have to reevaluate exactly where he's going in that Nijo. Alex Cooper, good recovery to 7th position. Oscar Hardwick will be crossing the line now for 8th position, last of the unlapped runners. Again, a good recovery there. 1 lap down, Jason Muscat keeps Red Archer afloat with 9th position despite his teammates' disconnection. Harley Hamnet grabs 10th position, a second 10th position in 2 races there for Hamnet, I think. Or within the last 3 races, I think. The ST's resurgence continues, and what that will do is push ST off the bottom of the standings, I think, potentially, depending on how many points that gets, because Constant didn't score today. Jordan Weeks is 12th position, Mikko Suokas in 13th in the Nord zones, finishing behind Adam Rouse 11th in the Woods Racing. He didn't catch Hamnet, just a second and a half behind. Kenny Lybeer, 2 points for Kernau, and that adds him onto the 4 points he's already scored this season. So he's got a good little streak going, despite not quite being on the pace of teammate Morris. 15th in the final point to Bart de Vos, who crawled across the line there 2 laps adrift. Kieran Ryan, 16th, 2 laps down. Mark Fuller, 17th, 3 laps down. No points today for our fellow ST friend. The retirements, Tom Vandervoort, an embarrassing end to his race, out of fuel in the pit lane. Drama llamas for him. Jimmy Toika, a collision with Kieran Ryan under dubious circumstances, out on lap 36. Mark Stanton crashed on lap 21 for Constant. Vinod Moodley crashed lap 17 for Green Stripes. Alberto Alvarez parked up at the exit of turn 1 on lap 15, giving up the ghost for Phoenix. And David Junt, a disconnection on the opening lap whilst battling in the top 10. So as I say, that changes the championship in the fact that Midnight will pull away from Nijo and Euler will pull away from Hiesterbeek. It also means that for poor Tom Vandervoort, he won't be crossing the 100-point barrier, unlike Lewis Redshaw, who is his direct competitor in the championship for 7th position overall, which will become net 6 if they can leapfrog Dave Carr-Smith. And we have in it Mr. Smoothman himself, but unfortunately, you needed some extra juice, my friend. Tom Vandervoort, what happened?
Very, very stupid mistake on my part. I was actually going to pit the lap before, but for some reason I wasn't paying attention and I just did another lap. Usually I have enough fuel calculated for an emergency lap, and I just came, a couple of 100 meters short. So
because it's a real shame, because we could see you in the pit lane, kind of like pushing them along.
It's really, really demotivating. I had a great start. I was up to 4th at one point. So I really thought that this race might actually be the one that would get the lift back in my season, because it's been the 3rd race in a row now, or the 4th actually, that just didn't end well for me. And well, a crash is one thing, but then again I spun again this race. The rear end of the car seems to snap on me way too much for the past few races, and I was hoping I could crawl back to at least 9th. Then yeah, I ran out of fuel and just couldn't make it to the pit. And that's all she wrote.
Boo! But I mean, the opening laps were fantastic because she was effectively bottle corking the entire field behind you and causing a right rip-roaring battle, which was fantastic to watch and probably great to be a part of. But as you say, you've had a couple of races now where things haven't quite gone to plan. And it's not helping out Nijo with the constructors necessarily. And where you're talking about the back end, what do you then look at for rectifying that? Because you've got great raw speed and great commitment, and where you're racing wheel to wheel with drivers, you clearly know exactly where the lines are, and you know that you're going to be there or thereabouts for podiums and major points. What will be the first thing that you'll look at to try and rectify this rear end problem?
I just need to look at the setup, but there is a sacrifice you have to make. Sometimes you can get a stable rear end, but you just lose valuable time, and that's a risk you've got to take. And I took that risk, and it went very well for a good half of the race. And just once, it didn't work for me. You gotta just need to go 1 millimeter over the limit, and you're done. That's the big problem, that's the risk you have to take. That's being a race driver, and I just went over the limit at that point. The problem is that that is the 3rd time that I've done it in 3 races, and that's not good for me. It's not good for the team. It's not good for the championship. So I really need to. We have 4 races left, and I really need to show that I can be up there with the guys if I want to be kept at Nijo for next season, but I'm gonna keep it up the way I've been doing it for the past 3 races. I might as well give up. But I'm not planning I'm not planning on doing that. So I'm gonna do my bloody best for the last few races, and I will. And I swear to God, I will get a podium before the end of the season.
Amazing. One last question I'd like to ask you then will be, if you had 100 points that you have to allocate, how much would you give to raw speed, and how much would you give to having a stable rear end? Because there must be a trade-off somewhere between where actually being more stable is better than being faster.
I'm more of a guy for raw speed. The risk of an unstable rear end, so you need to dance with the risk and not work against it. You need to go with it, and if you practice it enough, you know where the limit is. But I was pushing so hard at that moment because I was following Oscar, because I didn't want to lose him, that I just went over the limit for just the snap of a second, and that's the danger of it. So I would go still for raw speed, because I still think I lack some in comparison to the other guys at the top. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Well, I'll look after your rear end. Don't worry about that. Thank you very much, Tom. And Echo Goonies. What else have we got in here? Oh, we've got. Who's that filthy man that's on the top step of the podium? I tell you what, give him one win. He starts wanting to take them all. Well done, Jim. A nice win for the TMO and a 1-2, first of the season, I believe, for that. You were pushed right away by your teammate from the very beginning to the very end. Did you ever feel, do you know what, actually give me a break?
Yeah, I guess all the time, every lap. It was a fantastic race for me, for the team, and it was so close in every testing we did offline with Peter, so I knew it was going to be so close between us. But I didn't expect it to be that much faster than the other guys. I don't know what else to say. I'm very happy for the team. I want to see the best result we could get here.
Fantastic. But what that does do, my maths is a bit rubbish, so this may be wrong, but that moves you to 4th in the Drivers' Championship. And Petter Kasa is only a few points ahead of you. And I know your teammates, but surely you're sitting there thinking, I quite fancy that 3rd position now. Because now the car is up on top, you're the one that's edging it out at the moment. So is that what you're thinking?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm thinking of that for the last 3 races now. So yes, that's the target. I'm kidding. It's a very nice year, very nice season for me to be here in Toy Motorsports and with Peter as a teammate. So it will be the same for me. Who finished the 3rd or 4th? Yes, but I won the 3rd.
Well, best of luck for that. Last question for you, Jim. We've got Indy coming up next, then Abu Dhabi, Suzuka, and Brazil. Any of those circuits you quite fancy being one of your favourites to do really well on?
I could choose Suzuka. It's the greatest for me, but we'll see.
Okay, well, I suggest you go off and celebrate that win because it was well deserved. Well done.
Thank you very much.
All right, so Jim Priestis, our winner there. Following up, must have been a bit sick and tired of his rear wing because he saw it for at least 60 of those 60 laps. It was Petter Kasa who came through in 2nd, but you didn't let it be easy for him, did you?
No, I know from the practice as well that we was pretty much equal on pace. So, yeah, I knew I was 1 lap longer in the first stint, so I was pretty much letting Jim go in the first corner in the start on the outside, because I pretty much had the start, but yeah, I was just trying to stick with him. Unfortunately, I was a bit, was battling a bit with Lewis in the first lap or something. And when he made this move on me, Jim got the small gap, so I lost the drag, and then we was pretty much equal for the whole race. So wasn't much more to do than just push and hope for best. But I could maybe got him in the end when I got out of the pit from the last stop, but unfortunately I got some damage from an origin. That, of course, damaged the car slightly, so the car get a tenth slower. It was just impossible to have any advantage on Jim, so it was just to stay with him. But anyway, I was a perfect race for both of us on the team, so can't complain about it. It's pretty much like a victory for me as well.
Yeah, because it just by the talk that was going on in TeamSpeak and everywhere else, I don't think people were expecting Torrent Motorsport to be so strong and so dominant. I mean, you two were half a minute clear of everyone else. Surely that puts a little wry smile on you for the 4 races that are coming up.
Yeah, we knew we had the pace for the whole season, and when we finally got the car, we knew we would get some victories, but it was a big surprise that we was that far ahead of the rest of the guys. So yeah, I don't know if we found something special on this track or if they for some reason didn't find it, but yeah, very happy with the race. So
woohoo, good stuff. And one last question for you, Petter. Just on that thing with Jordan Weeks, it was in a Norge zone. Obviously, it's never great to have a back marker there, and it's not, the back marker can't help it to some degree to be there right on when the big clash from pit lane exit happens. But what was your view on that? Because it was like he was trying to retake you and unlap you whilst you were battling for the lead, and it all got a bit clumsy. Do you have any particular views on that at all?
yeah, I think I came out from pit lane just in front of him, and I was pretty sure that he saw that it was me that was coming out from pit, so I was expecting him to stay behind. Then when I turned in for turn 2, I suddenly noticed that he was still on the inside and trying to pass me again. Then we had some small contacts and he spun, and I was going on the outside, and then he hit me again when he spun, so I think that's when I got the real damage. Even though it wasn't anything I actually noticed on the car, was probably maybe just lacking slightly top speed, but
Okay. That was very politically dancing one there. Well done. You dodged that one well. No, well done, you two. Go and celebrate and get very drunk.
thank you.
Lastly in the not lastly in the room, we've got Mr. Third Place Position, and I'm going to call Strategy of the Race award to Lucas Euler, because you slightly outfoxed everyone with those little furry mitts of yours and popped up into third position when it didn't look possible earlier on. So talk us about your race, because it was an interesting one.
Well, the qualifying was already a mess. I don't think the Torrents really got their laps together, but neither did I, so that was a bit of a disappointment. Then the start wasn't too bad. I got away quite well. I think I held my position, or even got Lewis. But then into turn 3, Petter braked a bit earlier than I expected, and it caught me a bit out, so I was on the wrong line for the next 3 corners, where I lost 3 or 4 positions. And we didn't have the best straight line speed, which made passing very difficult. And it was the train behind Tom then for a couple of legs until Lee and Ruud got past. I was surprised Tom held up Ruud for so long, even though a teammate and Ruud is battling for the championship, but I don't moan about it. It was good for me. And then I finally got around Tom, which was quite a tough battle. It was very, very small room there. We left each other, but I think it was still okay. And from then on, I was surprised to have the best tire wear, it seems, which first time it happened. So I knew each lap I can go longer would help me, and that the guys around me would be not as long as on the options, which would help me in the end. And then I just, whenever they pitted, I tried to push as hard. With the low fuel, it didn't quite work out for me. I don't know, I didn't get the times I had in practice. But third place is the maximum I would have got today. The Torrents were too quick. The gap might be looking a bit too big than for what it really was, but I guess they deserve the win. Congratulations, and yeah, let's see what the next rounds bring us.
What I will say with all of that is you beat Ruud, and Ruud is your championship rival. So regardless of the gaps and everything like that, you must be pleased that actually the advantage grows a little bit again. And there's 4 races left now, so you obviously have the end goal in sight. How does your mind go into the next 4 races? Are you still going, do you know what, win, 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 win? Or are you looking at Ruud and thinking, beat Ruud, beat Ruud?
Well, winning's going to be tough with the Torrent guys, but it's always my aim, but the priority is Ruud, obviously. But I can't go into a race and say, oh, I will only focus for Ruud, because then I probably will end up 10th or something like that. So I have to get in and want the best result, and if I get it, then I should be ahead of Ruud, I guess. So 26 points, I think, is the gap now. So, or maybe one more, I don't know. So, which is good.
Excellent. Well, I think you should go and celebrate, and then if you just kindly send, where are we next? Indianapolis. If you just send some greasy spooned sloppy J's or Joes to Ruud, he might eat that and have some ballast for next race. It'll be fine. Lovely. Okay, thank you very much, Lucas. There. Lastly, we've got Monsieur Red Shaw.
Bonjour.
Well, salut, ça va?
That's all I know, I'm afraid.
Oh, okay. Do you not even know La Piscine and Le Banc?
Yeah.
See, everyone gets the good French words. So, talking of having a wee bit of French, you was doing quite well up front, kissing the back of the TMO drivers, and it really looked like you was the only one that was going to be able to challenge them. And then it all kind of derailed, and I'm not really sure if it's down to the fact that you went for an early stint on the yellow tyres and just couldn't recover it back again, because it seemed to be the longer that people stayed on the slower tyre, the further back they just couldn't recover it again. What was it that kind of unravelled, because you had some stonking pace at the beginning?
I think it was the fact I could do 14 laps on the options and everyone else could do 18 plus. So, but if they had been able to do 14 on the options, it would have been fine, because when I did that prime stint, I was still looking good, but they just kept going on the options, and yeah, they messed me up a bit really. But we had great pace and qualified third again, which is always good. So upwards and onwards.
Definitely, and I think it speaks volumes that now you're coming home in 5th, 6th positions, and you sound slightly disappointed. Whereas 6, 7 races ago, that would have been backflips into Monaco pools, surely.
Yeah, it's just showing the natural progression that now we finally got, the same sort of cars as everyone else, that we can fight it with the top guys, which is nice. And had some great battles with obviously Lucas and Rude as well during that race. So it's nice to be up in the top, but like you say, now we just get disappointed with 5th because I really want to get a podium before the end of the year. So I've just got to work on my tyre wear a bit and got the speed, so just need to have luck, hopefully.
So if you've got the reputation of burning too much rubber, how do you then... What's the things that you look at to try and reduce that?
I'm going to have a couple words with Oscar because he's normally quite good and he was making them last longer, so I'll try and look at some other people's driving styles. But I'm worried that if I change too much, I'm just going to lose all the speed, so it's like a fine balance, really.
Balancing is the name of the game, and obviously Hawkeye now leapfrogged Red Archer quite happily in the constructors. Seem a bit too far off to then aim for the 4th position, despite that being the lead news item still on GPVWC's website. It's still mathematically possible, of course. Got 4 races coming up with Indy, Abu Dhabi, Suzuka, Brazil. Any of those fancied as your podium spot?
Anyone will do. I'm not too bothered about which one it'll be. I couldn't tell you which one, though.
No particular preference?
No particular preference. Just one podium for the end of the year would be very nice.
Ah, he's not a greedy man, is our Mr. Redshaw. So never mind. If one of these top lot quite fancy dishing a podium out, they've already won a championship. Lucas,
I'll have one.
Who knows? Anyway. So, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us in the booth. Thank you very much for putting up with me and me alone in the commentary booth, because I'm sure that was probably like pulling teeth out of an anus. I'm going to go and enjoy the rest of my alcoholic beverage. Thank you very much for taking part. Next up will be Indianapolis. We'll be there on the 10th of September for Formula Challenged, where I will be out on track, probably being lapped by lap 3. Then we've got Super Cup, where you'll see the likes of Oscar Hardwick not trying to take off the rest of the field and actually winning. Then we'll be back for more Super League stuff on September the 12th. Usual time, usual place. We're always here and here to be steering your way to good recovery, sir, into a new era of sim racing awesomeness with open wheels, Super Cup cars, and and the new touring tin top stuff. La 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 la. Thanks, Simon Menuish. Thank you, everyone. Take care. See you soon. Toodle pips.